Welcome to I'm Not a Fan Unless I Have a Podcast. I'm John Hanford, and thanks for listening to the first episode of 2021. Before I get into the intro for today's guest, I just want to, take a little bit of time to acknowledge, what 2020, meant, what it was. Definitely as far as being a Giz fan goes, I mean, what a roller coaster! It's funny because obviously this has been a roller coaster year for everybody, and for a lot of people, more downs than ups. But I gotta say, like, as a Giz fan, and being somebody who allows King Gizzard to give me life force. It was a pretty good year, because like they released so many live albums, demos, KG obviously, live in San Francisco from 2016. Like there were so many, they did so much stuff this year. They made some tremendous music videos. The Straws in the Wind video, I think, is one of their best. If not Now Then When is another interesting, really cool one. I mean, it just goes and goes and goes. There's so much stuff that Giz contributed to this year. Obviously, we were supposed to see them at these 3-hour marathon shows at Berkeley and Red Rocks, and those will happen in the future. I mean, I really fucking hope they do. God forbid, that any of those like wild conspiracies are real. We should expect to see Giz in the near future. But in any case, I just wanted to share the gratitude that I feel for 2020 and just everything that I learned personally, and both about just how the world works and also who I am. I think it's safe to say at this point you can't really put me into a box. I'm anywhere and everywhere. I'm a little bit more nuts than I initially thought, which I think is how I don't know, either growing up or insanity works, or both. So anyway, I'm grateful for the year. And for this year to come, I think it's going to be, it's going to be another really challenging year. I think it would be silly to just dismiss all of our problems as a 2020 thing, because like those problems adhere to the lunar calendar, and right, isn't that lunar? I forget. I don't know what type of calendar we're on. Anyway, but the one that goes January through December, those problems are not operating on the same, like they're not operating with any sort of like motive, really. It's just shit's gonna keep happening, and the more connected and hyper connected we are, we're gonna hear more shit. So yeah, it's gonna seem like stuff's insane. Maybe a lot of stuff is just because who knows why. Or maybe we all do know why. There's I mean, I think the overall problem here is, yeah, like overpopulation and greed have run amok. But, and anyway, so we don't have to get into all that. There's still a King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard podcast. We're not, go watch Joe Rogan or something for for like the real shit. I don't know. In any case, let me get to today's guests. These guys helped me ring in the new year. We recorded this on December 30th. These two dudes, it's funny how, like I was saying, you learn new things in 2020. For example, I just learned that the spam folder exists in Facebook Messenger. If you didn't know about the spam folder in Facebook Messenger, now's the time to go check it out. See what you missed. Probably just a few porn bots and other spammers and shit, but you might have missed a meaningful connection there, as is the case with my next guests. These two blokes, just because they're from the UK. I don't know. I'm trying to fit in, but these two dudes, Brandon and Laurence, they had hit me up, or Brandon had hit me up back in May, when I first launched this podcast. Like I think the first episode came out on May 5th, the date of one of the Red Rocks shows. And yeah, so I saw that I had a message from like all the way back in May. Just like, hey man, I would love to come on the podcast and talk with you. And I'm just like, shit, I just left that to sit there for so long. I look like a dick, but it's better late than never. And fortunately, Brandon's a super cool guy and he was still down. And so was his buddy Laurence. So without further ado, from the UK, here are Brandon and Laurence. Thanks so much for coming on the podcast. I didn't know that my spam folder existed in Messenger, and yeah, I just kind of left the initial message unread or unread for like 6-7 months. So yeah, glad we finally made this happen.
Yeah, I was telling John about the spam folder shenanigans and how that message that went in, and I was like supposed to go on a tour of Bulgaria with Laurence, incidentally, but I missed out on seeing that message, and I only saw it the day they all left to go. So I was like, oh god damn it! Like,
I was sat there on a plane, like, if only Brandon was here. If only he checked his spam folder. Like, who'd have thought a
everyone
spam
knows
folder
about.
could like change history so much?
Yeah, well, thanks for getting right back to me too, Brandon, because there were a few other people that got lost in the shuffle, lost in the spam folder, and I reached out to them, and they read it, and they're just like, "Fuck this dude, he didn't he didn't get the initial message." So yeah, well, who knows? Maybe one day they'll come around. But anyway,
This
yeah,
is such a cool idea. It's such a cool idea to be able to like hang out and chat to other Giz fans and like on a podcast. That's awesome.
Yeah, dude, it's like I'm surprised that I was the first to do it this style, like because I know there is another Giz podcast out there, the Gizverse podcast, but that's just two guys who are talking about the Gizverse and different intricacies there. It's not talking to like different fans and stuff, which this is just what I like to do anyway. Ideally, I'd like to find myself in a pub or a bar or something, and I'm able to just talk about music with other people while I'm a little inebriated. But yeah, with the pandemic, we don't really have that option, except for but we can still get fucked up. But in the interest of production value, I generally choose not to.
It's such a like. Where are you based?
So I'm in Southern California in the desert. I live in Joshua Tree. So it's a pretty out there kind of place. There's like 5,500 people that live in the town. And then like a surrounding area that's like maybe 50,000. But yeah, it's pretty out there and not a whole lot going on. So this podcast keeps me plenty busy.
Are there many Giz fans out there that you know in person? Or?
There are a few who are like, fans in passing, but once I start talking, then they're just like, all right, we need to find another conversation. So
yeah. I love the idea that it's so barren. Any car that drives by, you're just like, hey, you listen to King Git? Oh, we lost him.
Yeah, not to mention there aren't a whole lot of young people that live out here. It's a lot of like old original hippies. Like sure. There are some people that they were taking like that Sandoz LSD like back in the 1960s, and like I know one guy who's like friends with Graham Parsons back in the day, and and yeah, because like Graham Parsons was a big deal in Joshua Tree. This is where he died, at least. I don't know if this is where he also lived, but anyway, yeah. So you meet all these different types of people, but none of them are from the Giz era, really.
I feel like they're the kind of people that would like get on well with Giz. You need to be introducing all these people,
Well, it's interesting because like I play a lot of open mics, and like when there's not a pandemic, I play open mics, and sure. I do a lot of Giz covers, and they tend to really like it. So yeah. But
I find it can kind of go like either way, I guess, with like older generations of music. They're either super into it and like, yeah, we want to hear like everything that's going on, or they will only listen to that particular era. Like nothing else exists. Like,
yeah, my favorite is when they go, oh, okay. Like after I play, like I might have played like Billabong Valley or something, and be like, interesting.
Yeah, I was just going to ask which kind of covers you go for.
Oh, sorry. What was it? I didn't hear the question.
I was gonna, which kind of covers do you go for? But you said Billabong and stuff. Like,
Yeah, I mean, they're probably about, I don't know, between 10 and 20 Giz songs that I play.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like I'll do Billabong. You know, I don't have a microtonal guitar, so I'll just play it with like regular tones. But yeah, then I'll do like a few microtonal songs like Sleep Drifter and Rattlesnake. Play those on mandolin. I've got like a I've got a little Mando Bird that yeah, it just kind of works as it has like a similar tone as the Flying Microtonal Banana, so it works well for those songs.
Please tell me you do the full 8 minutes of Rattlesnake at the open mics.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't fuck around.
No. I mean, I've only played that in front of people once because, like, I mean, after that one time, I was like, okay, maybe I shouldn't, because like it was a whole lot of F sharp, like just a whole lot of that. Because I'm playing by myself, I don't have a backing band or anything, so I'm just like chugging
along.
Yeah, and then like I'll just be looking at the audience, being like, still in the F sharp, we're still playing F sharp.
We'll get through this yet.
Yeah,
only another 6 minutes left.
Yeah, and then like, you know, we're about 7 minutes into the song, and they're just like, okay, so this is never gonna end. And but so where are you guys based? Yeah, it sounds like you're based in UK. You're in GMT time. So
yeah.
Where
So
about?
Do you want to take it, Laurence?
Yeah, we're UK based. We're actually we live quite far apart, really. We actually met kind of from the like gigging scene. We met at a festival and then stayed in contact. But I'm from kind of further down south near London, and then Brandon's obviously further afield. He lives up in Leicester.
Oh, sick.
Yeah, but it's good scene up here.
Yeah,
it was like decent beforehand, but like we've both become separate like hot spots of like COVID and shit, so we're just like completely like we can't visit each other at all now, and like we've had to byline so many plans. Like,
I miss you, Brandon.
Laurence, where are you at? Where you at, bro?
Nice to see you again.
Yeah, well, I'm happy to provide you guys a platform to reconnect.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, friends reunited.
But yeah, so I mean, clearly you guys got like Laurence, I see you got some Giz posters behind you. Yeah. So like how long have you been Giz heads? Like I guess we'll start with you, Laurence. Like how long have you been into them?
Yeah, so I kind of like so I got into them, really it was in 2017 kind of that I first heard of them. My friend worked down a kind of like local kind of like indie bar, and he was jamming songs on his iPod, and Rattlesnake came up, and like about 7 minutes in I was like, you know, this is kind of cool. And it actually took me quite a while to like really kind of break into them. Like I had this like real barrier with them where I dug Rattlesnake and I dug a few songs here and there, but I just really couldn't get into them. And it took me like, I really had to sit down and be like, you know, I'm gonna just like dive in. I see they've got this huge back catalog already. I'm just gonna sit down, I'm just gonna listen to every album. And I'm so glad I did, because obviously my friend had shown me Rattlesnake, but it was actually listening to Paper Mache Dream Balloon. That was the album that first really clicked with me, and I know it's one of the weirder albums.
I mean, that album's a masterpiece, honestly. Like
totally.
It's I mean, because that's one that you can show to basically anybody. And you know, be like, hey, you dig it, and usually they do.
I think Time Is Money was the first song that I showed Brandon. We were driving along in the car, and I was like, right, I have this band. I really need to show you, Brandon. And I chucked that on, and I was that right? That was the first one.
Yeah. Because I remember thinking, oh, you know, they've got like nice female vocals in there and stuff. And then when you showed that, it's like, oh, right, okay.
Yeah, it's just falsetto.
Yeah.
No, that's cool as hell though. So you introduced Brandon to Giz through Paper Mache.
He's gone on his own journey.
So yeah, I remember like hearing that song and a few others. I remember you showed me the video for Trapdoor like around that time as well. And
Sure.
I think it was just inherently the name of the band. I guess with a lot of people, just to be able to say, "Hey, I'm a fan of King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard," it always makes people go, "Huh? What's that? Oh, that's really fun." So I thought, well, I really want to get into them, but I just like similar to Laurence, like where do you start, kind of thing. And I remember it must have been like early 2019 because I remember you'd like sent me Cyboogie and stuff. I was like, okay, this is cool. That's cool. And then the song that really, like the very first one that kind of lived in my head for a while, was like, yeah, I need to keep listening to this, was Plastic Boogie, because there was just what a party, what a fucking party that song is.
Yeah, it's a really cool blues riff too, you know?
Oh yeah.
Because I taught myself that song over the summer, and like I was at home, my parents' place in Seattle, and like my dad taught me to play guitar, and he's a blues guitarist. So he was like, "Huh, that's a pretty cool riff you're playing." Like, I really dig it. And it's like it's not 4/4 either. Like I'm pretty sure it's 7.
Oh wow, yeah.
But yeah,
They like banned from playing 4/4. They like refused to do it.
Yeah, I mean,
4 only.
Yeah, and I found like after that I just kind of spammed Fishing for Fishies over and over and over. And then at the time Laurence was like exploring the other albums, and I'd really got into like another band called Doors, and I was just kind of vibing with them. Laurence was vibing with King Giz. And we were both like super passionate, like, hey, you should check this out, hey, you should check this out, whatever. So eventually like I just won like over a fortnight or so at work. I went in and I picked an album a day and would just repeat that album, like one album all day, to just get it into my brain. And like that was a hell of a fun experience. But
right?
from that, the one that just top like is the favorite and still the favorite to this day, Murder of the Universe, mate. That gets me goosebumps every time.
Oh, me too. You know, it's interesting. Like Murder of the Universe, I think that's. I mean, that album is also a masterpiece.
Yeah.
It's one that it's so weird because like I've never gotten like really into it, but at the same time, like whenever when it starts like with the new world and you just hear that like I mean just sick like boo boo
Hell yeah.
like oh fuck yeah like I get goosebumps just thinking of it. And especially yeah, and then you just hear like Leah Senior's narration, and then just like your memories have blown up in a mushroom cloud. And then, yeah. Oh fuck,
love it.
That shit never gets old for me.
Hell yeah. And like whenever anyone, because obviously that I see there's a lot of kind of people who when they talk about murder they're like, oh, I can't get into it, the spoken passages, or it's not for me kind of thing. I just will always scream at them, guys, he split an atom and created the Balrog. How is that not the coolest shit ever? Like,
yeah. I mean, not to mention, if you don't like the spoken word, then just watch the live versions on KEXP.
Right.
Hell yeah,
like,
exactly.
That version, the KEXP version, is probably my favorite KEXP by them. But have you noticed that they kind of throw in some extra like lyrics and stuff here and there, and like there's some like wild stuff in that one.
Yeah, the secret lines.
Yeah.
About the sickening syrup.
Yeah.
That's right. With yeah, like they were just because they did like a lot with Hantayumi in that set, which somehow I'd forgotten about because like I saw them play in LA last year, and
cool.
they did Murder of the Universe, with like Hantayumi's
nice
whole thing, and I was just like, whoa, they're actually playing Hantayumi live, and
he's gonna come out. Where is he?
Yeah, right. like I was thinking, maybe it'll be like Eddie with Iron Maiden, but
yeah.
If only, man.
He actually murders the universe live on stage.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Finally.
Yeah.
Kill us all.
Yeah, exactly. No need to drink any Kool-Aid. Hantayumi's here. He's got to murder us all. So
drink the vomit.
Yeah. Exactly, right? Makes Jonestown look like a booger. But
wow.
But yeah, man, like Yeah, but like I totally forgotten about, when they did like I guess what it is, Welcome to an Altered Future,
Mm.
with the added passages. Yeah, like there's there's so much stuff that King Gizzard does that then they cut out, and then you know eventually you hear about it later, like we did with the demos now, and then like the Teenage Gizzard. I mean, this is all stuff that is like it's only come out in like the last week or so, and
Crazy.
I've been way too busy with these new dogs I got, so I haven't been
Hell
able to
yeah.
really dig into to like the Teenage Giz or the bootleg stuff.
I was saying to my wife just before we came on here, because I was obviously telling her I was on a King Gizzard podcast, that they're the only band that release so much content so much that you can do a weekly podcast and have something completely new to talk about every single time.
Yeah, I mean, even when they weren't releasing shit, and like I was just rehashing like
What?
their entire discography with different people, like the whole summer. And the summer was, I mean, just waiting for KG to drop was just painstaking. Because I was like, I need something new to talk about. Because like after 30 episodes or so, it started to get a little stale.
Yeah.
But yeah, now we've got like we're locked and loaded for like probably 150 more at least at this point. But yeah, I just love like the endlessness of King Giz. Like there's always something to talk about. But yeah, I mean, so I guess what have you guys been thinking about recently with with King Giz? I mean, there's just been a lot.
Yeah. I've not had a proper chance to kind of look into the new old Teenage Giz stuff yet. I had a little gander because I saw it's Ants and Bats, isn't it? Is one of the songs that I've seen here and there, and it's actually finally on there. And Hey There, I think as well. The kind of songs that have been floating about for a while. And I was literally, I'm sure I was saying to Brandon, I was like, oh, I really want them in some kind of like single place. And then they just let the world have that like out of nowhere. It's so cool.
Yeah. I mean, it was cool when when they released it, because I remember when they released the demos, volume 1 and 2, they like Stu said something about like I might have more stuff they'll dig up and maybe put it out if people like it. And I mean, it's just so cool that they're just doing like a Polygon Dwanaland 2.0 with all of like their live stuff.
Yeah, there's like 9 albums in total or something. Like
I feel bad for Brandon, because Brandon's like started getting a King Giz vinyl collection going, and it's like, how are you going to do that now? There's all these bootlegs out.
Yeah, I'm looking at all the stuff coming out, and I'm just like, I can't justify getting all of these, like all these cool variants now. Like
some of them are really cool. I saw someone was doing like a live version of the entirety of
Rat's Nest.
Rat's Nest.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yo, and I just saw that that guy hit his funding goal. So that record's getting made. I'm really excited for that. I'm probably not gonna buy it myself. Just because like I like Rat's Nest as an album. And ultimately like I have to tone down my, like right now it just became the writing was just clear on the wall. Tone down the OCD with collecting Giz records, because like it is seriously getting a little out of control. But I do have every intention of buying the demos on vinyl, because I really like those.
Which is your like most like proud vinyl of King Giz?
I mean probably the I don't know if proud's the right word, but I really like my Polygon Dwanaland from Fuzz Club.
I got that one too.
Yeah,
the booklet one. Yeah.
I mean, with the mammoth on the cover.
Yeah, the mammoth, and then he got like a walrus or some shit, or a rhino on the inner sleeve. Then it's got like the whole booklet and everything. It's that one sounds great. And then I've also got the 8-bit Polygon Dwanaland.
I really wanted that one. That's sold out before I could grab it.
That one I picked up, and I'm really happy with that. And then also I bought the KG Brain Splatter from ATO, that or maybe it's not ATO. It was the US released version. I forget I don't think it was on a label actually, but I ordered that one and haven't gotten it yet. So I'm still waiting for my KG and Live in SF to
Just staring out the
arrive.
window. When will it arrive?
Yeah, just checking my email, waiting for the you know, waiting to see what packages I'm getting. But yeah, I mean, I've like I have about half of Giz's records. Sketches is probably my favorite one to just have on in the background, you know, when I'm cooking breakfast.
Oh yeah.
But yeah,
Good vibe
I've
to
also
start your day.
yeah, and honestly, like I've been listening a lot to like other bands recently, just on my
What?
record player. Yeah, right.
Surely not.
What else have you been listening to?
I mean, just a lot of jazzy stuff, like Bad Bad Not Good. I don't know if you got.
Totally. I love them.
Yeah, I bought their album 4 on vinyl. I also just picked up an Isaac Hayes record, the Soul Singer. So I picked up his album U-Turn. I got a John Coltrane album, and then also the Byrds, Mr. Tambourine Man. Picked that one up a few weeks ago.
Sweet.
Yeah,
It's always cool to kind of hear what other like bands Giz fans like and would recommend, you know, like
yeah. I mean, you know, because like Giz ultimately opened my mind to jazz. You know, with Sketches and The River, and you know, just like all the jazzy stuff that they do from time to time. Like it sort of got me going down that path a bit, and I just really like the aesthetic of playing a jazz record at home. Like there's just something like I don't know. Yeah, it's classy. It's classy, and I'm living in poverty technically, so it's a good way of balancing it out, you know, for like my psyche or some shit. But
that's right. That is right.
Yeah,
I grew up.
It's good to be able to like. Oh, go ahead, sir.
No, I was just gonna say my dad used to like a lot of jazz, and so I grew up kind of listening to a lot of like Dave Brubeck and Miles Davis and that kind of stuff. And it's really cool, those kind of influences in like new modern music, you know. So yeah.
Yeah, and like it's like I like listening to stuff that I wouldn't normally play on guitar either, just because that way, like I just hope that it subconsciously seeps in, and whenever I'm jamming, you know, something cool and jazzy will just come out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just I like to try and find different ways to hack my subconscious and and use it to my benefit. Yeah. So have you guys gotten? I mean, Laurence, I saw you got the Giz posters, so I would take it you've seen them at least once, right?
Yes, me and Brandon both went together to the London Alexandra Palace show last year.
Yo.
That was it was amazing. That's the only time I've actually seen them. And it was amazing. Completely blew my mind away. You saw them just before that, right? On the same tour, Brandon, didn't you?
Yeah, I like tragically I felt bad because obviously Laurence got me into them, and then I went to see them first because it was like further up the country. But honestly, this show was tiny. Like this venue in Nottingham, it's called Rock City, and I managed to because I was just on my own, rocked up there early, just like 5-6 people hanging around. I'm like, okay, I guess this is it. Doors opened. I'm like, where's everyone at? Got straight to the barrier. It's like no one there. So we're just chilling. And then it eventually like packs in or whatever. Yeah, it's just, it was that kind of chill that I remember like everyone was obviously the buzz of the crowd, whatever. And Jerry just walks on and starts like tuning guitar or whatever. And I don't think people notice because they're expecting like, you know, sound techs to come on, but they all just start filtering on themselves and just tuning up their own stuff and sound checking. So everyone's like, oh, they're here. Hi guys, whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, Christ, it's so jarring as well. Like being on the barrier, it was like fucking stunning, like phenomenal, seeing like the Fourth Color and Cellophane just like blow up before your eyes. But it's weird, like going from a Rat's Nest song where it's like my rib cage is getting like I remember my phone cracked in my pocket because we were pushed against the barrier that much, and then immediately going into like Bird Song or whatever where it's like, oh yeah, let's chill out guys. The people who've been fighting down earlier, it's just hell yeah,
and then they're suddenly hugging.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. But I mean, it's such a. I mean, that's what I love about King Giz, like just the way that they, like a lot of their songs, their whole getup and just like how they segue between songs, it is funny. Like there's just something that's humorous about it. And especially like, you fucking break your phone during like Organ Farmer or something, and then the Bird Song. It's
Yeah, I remember when we were seeing them in London. There was this person we'd like made friends with like right at the start. We were just chatting, you know, getting along with them, and then Self-Immolate started, and they were absorbed by the pit. They just like and we just never saw them again.
I had a hand grabbing onto my shoulder. Like, and I wondered what it was. I turned around and he was there trying to grab on for dear life as he was dragged into the pit. And I tried to save him, but I couldn't. And we never saw him again either. We like, I don't know, he's dead. Rip.
Another soul to the Gizverse.
Yeah. Cue trapdoor. But I mean, like my first ever Giz experience, you know, first Giz show was 2018 in Brooklyn. I used to live in New York, and yeah, like same thing. I got there early. There were probably like 30 people or so, you know, waiting out front. But yeah, I got in line, and then, you know, once gates opened, just got right up against the barrier, and stayed there. And then once the show started, like, yeah, people were just like tearing at my shoulders, and like, I'm not a big guy. So it was just like, I was mostly focused on just like supporting my body upright, while also screening like some other, like there were some girls around me that were like, I was talking with them and they were still in high school, and I was just like, well, I'll try to make sure that there no creeps come in. So I'm just like bracing myself and like trying to, I don't know, do them a solid. But I mean, luckily, Giz shows seem to be pretty low frequency for creeps.
Yeah.
But you know, still, I didn't know. But yeah, it was just like a struggle that whole time. And then after that, I swore I'm never riding the rail again. I'm just always gonna find balcony seating. And then that's why, yeah. So I was just the next show I went to a couple days later, I stood in the balcony. I was on mushrooms. It was nice.
Hell yeah, dude.
I remember at the Alexandra Palace show we were at. So we weren't exactly on the barrier, but we were like a row back or so, and it was pretty mental. And one of the last songs they played was Rattlesnake, and
mate,
it was more painful than the Infest the Rat's Nest songs.
Yeah,
the crowd was so wild, they're going insane. And I remember saying to Brandon after it finished, I was like, oh god, they're going to play Organ Farmer next or something, and it's just going to destroy me. I was like, I don't think I can physically
we will die.
And then luckily they finished it on Fill Your Lungs, didn't they? And it was just, oh, I needed that. I needed to fill my lungs after that to take a deep breath.
Yeah, seriously, like that's kind of what I love about how they structure their set list, you know, because like they'll especially with last tour, and who's to say like what they're going to do in the future, but at least with the last tour, they just had a different way of going about their set than they previously had, just because like they were clearly focusing on just getting a lot of variety from throughout their discography, you know, rather than just doing like the new stuff and then like one, you know, like Mind Fuzz song or something. But you know, it was interesting though how they, you know, they would start with something from Rat's Nest and then just go through the rest of their stuff and then come back to Rat's Nest or something heavy and then just finish up with like Float Along or Am I in Heaven or Head On and or The River, and generally those songs are pretty chill.
Because I remember what was it? In mine I got a few nonagons, like we got the Wah Wah Road Train shenanigans. That was a good time. And yeah, just
that's so bad.
right. I remember it closing out on, because it's interesting listening to, and this, I know this, Laurence thinks this is sacrilege, but I hold my views firm on Polygon. A fucking sick album, but the one thing that I just think it's lacking just slightly is in the Fourth Color. Obviously the whole album is building up to this moment, right? And it should explode, but I just think there's like, I can't hear any bass, and if it had that like lower register, it would just feel more complete. And so when I saw that live, it was just with the visuals and everything, I was like, yes, I can hear the bass. This is how to experience Fourth Color. And when you saying something similar with Float Along, where you like maybe like didn't vibe with it so strongly, but then when you saw it live, you're like, that's it, that's what it's for, kind of thing.
I was never like a massive fan of that album. It was kind of one of the only ones that kind of like missed my kind of like peripheral a little bit, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But then seeing that song live, I was like, oh yeah, and it kind of really finally clicked for me, just like Fourth Colour did for you, obviously, Brandon. But yeah, it's interesting how hearing a song live can really change your opinion on it completely. Like
Completely. I mean, that happened to me with the Bird song, with
cool.
with this thing, and but like I think most of all with Billabong,
Really?
seeing that live, it just totally recontextualized the song for me, because like because like it's like right in the middle on Flying Monkey Banana, and it just seems to be sort of like just like an interesting subdued segue, between like
Right.
between like Sleep Drifter and what's the one after it, Anoxia, or
Yeah,
Something-
without nuclear fusion, isn't
one
it?
of them.
or maybe Nuclear Fusion. I forget which one, but
That's last.
but yeah, it's like it because like on the album, to me, it didn't really have, like, Billabong didn't really have much of a personality. But then seeing it live, it was just like, okay, yeah, because like they draw it out a lot more, and yeah, it's just interesting. There's a certain like chilling quality that the live version of that song has that it doesn't quite have on the album.
Yeah. And from the live, that I've not seen that live myself, but from the like footage I've seen of Billabong, you can see Ambrose really get into it. It's like, this is my time to shine, and he like gives it some vocals in that.
Yeah, I mean, like if you see the Live in Paris from last year, when like the little kid comes out with I guess he got like a photo pass or something, so he's like a 12-year-old kid or something. He's just taking pictures of the guys, and I don't know if you remember this from the live album, but like it's right in the middle of Billabong. There's like, hey, come on out on stage, and the kid comes out and gives everybody a hug, and
Sweet.
yeah, I mean, and that wasn't even the version of Billabong that sold me on it. It's just like it's just like, but I'm sure it did for somebody else, so that's super cool to see.
When did you get into King Gears?
Around the same time as you, like November 2017.
Right.
Yeah, it was like right after Polygon Wonderland had come out, and I was like, okay, like my friend had told me about the band, and she was like, I was like, hey, I recently started listening to psych rock, and she was like, oh yeah, you should check out this band. She's not even much of a Giz fan herself. She just knew of them, and yeah, so I sure enough, like went home, looked them up, and started playing Polygon Wonderland, and just tried to listen to it over and over until I was able to understand, like, okay, are they actually a good band that I like, or are they just weird for the sake of being weird? And so it took me like a month or so to like really get into them, but like I knew it, but there was just something about it that I was like, how the fuck do you come up with this in the first place? That it just boggled my mind, and like I'm still on this path trying to figure it out.
That's exactly what it was like with me, where like I knew that there was something there that I really liked, but it was a little while of me really trying to get into it and kind of there's something quite dense about their music, and it's really kind of, you have to kind of almost unpeel it a little bit to really get there and be like, oh yeah, I really like this. Yeah, you can tell it's good, but yeah.
Yeah, and the thing that's hard about it is like, because we're all under this spell, right? Of like, Giz is amazing, but then like you're trying to introduce somebody else to Giz, and you're just like, okay, well, you throw on Mind Fuzz, and Mind Fuzz is a great record, but it's also like, at least the A side, it's stuff that you would kind of think has been done before, like back in the 60s, original psychedelic scene. Like it's very straightforward classic psych. So it's like, obviously you show that to somebody and they'll be like, yeah, this is good, but does it really, like, would that really resonate with them? Would that really stand out to them more than, like a 13th Floor Elevator song or something,
Right. Yeah.
So my I have like a go-to sales pitch for whenever I'm trying to get someone into Gears, and it's like pretty much like word for word at this point because I've done it on so many people. But it's like I look at myself from like an out of body point of view, and I think like, what the fuck are you doing? I'm literally at bars or whatever, just hanging out. I've just played a set or something. Someone will go, oh, good set, and I'm like, so you know this band? Have you heard of King Giz? I'm on with it at the minute, and they're like, oh no, what's that? And I'll be like, right. So there's these travelers who are trying to open the door to Nonagon Infinity to seek the gamma knife, which is like a scientific term for injecting the brain with radiation to make them live forever. But in doing that, they like fuck up the world and they create like people vultures and fig wasps. So in order to survive, humanity has to turn themselves into cyborgs. But there's one cyborg, he's the last person to change, who misses, like when he's changed, he misses two things about being human: the ability to die and the ability to vomit. So he creates this machine, but fuck, he accidentally triggers the vomit apocalypse, and then the whole universe implodes, and then at the top, the timeline split, and it goes like into one where it's like the Earth is in its original state, and these travelers are trying to like seek the fourth color in order to battle the Lord of Lightning, who will create the Balrog at some fucking point. And then the other fucking spectrum where this Hantaomi has become the god of his own world, and he's trying to understand, you know, how can I exist in a world that I've created? Am I my own creation? What's going on? And that is like, they will either be like, I need to fucking understand what you've just told me, I'll go and listen to them, or cheers.
There's a lot of parallels, I feel, between the kind of like Gizverse lore like that and the lore of something like the anime JoJo. And Brandon really heavily got me into JoJo, and he sold that to me in a very similar way by telling me about this like bizarre series of circumstances that happened. And I was like, yeah, I'm in. Okay. But
yeah, I gotta say, Brandon, your sales pitch is fucking flawless.
Thank you.
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
if I'm ever, go ahead. Say.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say, like, I've never heard the whole Gizverse summed up in a minute like that. like that was really efficient.
Put it down to an art.
And like, if I'm ever with like the person, like if I'm at their house or whatever, and they don't know about Gears, we usually, like, just with a circle of friends I keep, we get to a point where it's just, oh, you put on a tune, I'll put on a tune, we'll just listen to stuff. And the amount of times I've just like, do you know of the video Murder of the Nonagon Fuzz?
Yeah, you know, I know of it, and I have not seen the whole thing.
Oh, cool. Well, yeah, it's just like someone's taken like about an hour, 10 minutes of various different albums and just spliced it all together in one really nicely cut music video. So there's like, it just goes.
Oh fuck, I didn't realize that's what it was.
Yeah,
wow,
so
I feel like an
strong.
idiot. Here I am, like, I look at me, I'm a King Gizzard super fan, and I have my own podcast, and I've never seen fucking Murder of the Nonagon Fuzz. What a fucking poser this guy is. Shit.
That's your homework now, you know, after this. Check it out.
And it's got all of the like the transitions that you want to hear in. So it goes from like the bit in Lord of Lightning where it does the like the mind fuzz do 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 do, and then it cuts straight into Cellophane, and then it jumbles up the mind fuzz like sweet, and then as it comes out the back, it then goes into the like the Balrog bit, but then Balrog bleeds into Trapdoor really nicely because obviously that like and it's done so well. But yeah, whenever I'm at my friends, I will just slide that on, and they'll think obviously like, oh, this is right, because it starts with Robot Stop and the whole like start of Nonagon. They're like, this is decent. It's get long. It's been going for 20 minutes now. And then I'll like tap the control, and they're like, it's a fucking hour. I'm like, and they're like, damn it, I'm really liking it though. I don't want to turn it off. Like, I got you.
Right? Yeah. That's cruel. But no, that is so fucking cool though. Yeah, I definitely have to check that out. I mean, because that's the thing. Like, I never thought I would ever be into like rock operas. You know, I'd heard the term, and I was just like, all right, that's pretentious as hell. But here I am, and I'm just like, I think it can be done, because it's basically like the reason that I want the reason I got tickets to all 3 marathon shows was to I wanted to I needed to see like the whole thing, and
Right.
and it is an opera, like my mom always, my mom's old as shit, so she always tells me like you really missed out on going to the opera, and I'm just like, that I can't connect with that at all. However, King Giz is basically my opera, I've realized.
Oh yeah.
Here is now.
Yeah. Yeah, it's no longer fucking the Barber of Seville. It's Hantayumi and the Gamma Knife. I don't know. I'm riffing here. But
do you find as a fellow Giz fan, because I know that me and Laurence do this to a point where we think we might have something wrong with our brains, but you'll just be like going about your day and you just like find yourself just going like, or like anything Giz related will just be in your head, and you just
all the
like,
time.
Yeah, it just comes out, right? So I was like on a party chat to one of my friends on PlayStation, and I was just not even mean to do it. Shit's just coming out. You're just like, you're like, fuck, I'm not even listening to it. It's just there in my brain.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, what is wrong with you? Why do you keep doing this? And then they've slowly started getting into it, and now they're doing it, and they're like, fuck's sake, Brandon, what have you done? And like, just not even wanting to, but like, it's there, it's in your brain.
Yeah. And that brings up a good point, because like they have I'm in your mind fuzz, and that's like almost like a wager that they made, just being like, I bet we're gonna make the catchiest fucking shit, and you're never gonna be able to get it out of your head. And guess what? Now by default, you've basically turned into a gizzard cyborg, because you're operating on a giz vibration as your baseline. So you're welcome. It's not the worst thing to be if this is what being a cyborg is, all right.
Game.
Yeah,
that's Cyboogie On.
Yeah, we're here to party now.
Speaking of like, oh, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there was this there was this show I watched once, and there was this line of from this guy talking about like how at some point big tech is going to digitize consciousness, and then the guy, like another guy at the bar, asked him, well, how do you know that they haven't done that already? How do you know that we're not already living like within a digitized universe? Whoa. And he was like, haven't really thought of it. All right. It's like, and that brings up a good point. It's like, how would you even know?
Right.
And
how would you know? Oh wow, you've changed my outlook on something today. What show was that?
It was Horace and Pete. It was Louis C.K.'s last hurrah before he got taken down by the Me Too thing. Yeah. And I mean, it remains like one of my top 5 favorite shows of all time. Like it was done exceptionally well. The cast is amazing, acting, writing, all of it. The dialogue. But yeah, so that was the show. And it was just
called again? Sorry.
Horace and Pete.
Horace and Pete, right?
Yeah. I think it's on Amazon. But it's tremendous. I highly recommend it. But
I'd say like statistically, when talking about how much like, do we know if we're cyborgs at this point or not? Going by Spotify, I think I've got 0.005% of my humanity left, because that's how much of the top fan thing I was on King Giz.
Oh shit, yeah. I couldn't believe that I was only in the top 0.1%.
I've never seen it go that specific,
I saw people getting into like the thousandth decimal place, and I'm just like, fuck, I thought I was there.
Right.
Maybe next year.
maybe not too. I'm diversifying my taste. But I mean, like, but back to just singing like Giz stuff subconsciously. Like I've been doing a lot of woo recently, because just been listening to KG nonstop and like Ontology. Yeah,
Do you
I mean
see the
that's gotten
comment section of Ontology?
It's just woo.
Like thousands of unbroken comments of just woo 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 woo, and it's like that is
Right.
humanity at its purest form. The fact
It
that
really
King
is.
Giz can like humanize YouTube comments. Like,
Yeah,
Hell
right.
yeah. I love that every single Giz album they release, they kind of somehow do a different variation on the woo as well. There seems to be some kind of different style of woo in every album.
Yeah, well, I think Stu's changing how he does the woos because, like, it used to be like much more forced, from the throat and stuff.
Yeah.
And I think that just kind of wore away at like his vocal cords. Because then
Right.
I noticed like last summer on the tour, he was for like People Vultures and stuff, he was just doing like woo instead of
Oh,
doing
right.
like and I was like, all right, he's saving himself a little bit. And then but then it just works so well with Ontology and
Mm.
and automation and just like
What do you think of Ontology? Because it's not Ontology, Intrasport, because it's such a different song. Like I love it. I think it's probably one of my favorite things they've ever done.
yeah,
But
I think KG might actually be my favorite album.
wow.
From
yeah.
them. I really really liked it because it went in so many different directions.
Yeah.
Within the microtonal landscape. And like I kind of like that they did it that way. That it wasn't just a straight carbon copy volume 2 of FMB. Even though I
Yeah.
would like to hear them do some more stuff like that. I liked that they showed that they were unafraid to just keep branching out. And
Absolutely.
and I mean Intrasport was just fantastic. It was like because like now there's finally a song that you can really move to.
Yeah.
I mean I'm saying move and not dance because I'm speaking only for myself and I cannot dance. So but yeah, Intrasport is just like it's such a jam. And just that block of Ontology, Intrasport, Odd Life, it's such a cool.
Mm.
I mean, I just love this.
What about Some of Us? That belongs in there.
Yeah, I
That's
mean,
the best.
Some of Us, it's
The
just such a
best.
fascinating song. Like because Cookie wrote
Brandon's
it.
Brandon's really upset because it's his absolute favorite song on the album, and every time there's like a kind of like a poll on like the King Gizzard fan page or anything about your favorite songs on KG and that, it's always like right at the bottom. And
Gets so much
Brandon's
hate.
always messaging me like,
Yeah,
they're wrong.
I feel like it would be a different story if they hadn't released it as a single. Like if
Yes,
they,
yes.
because I where I fucked up is I listened to all 4 singles that they released, like well in advance of the album. I listened to those, like I killed them. I absolutely beat them to death and just kept listening. And it got to a point where like now I listen to KG in order and I'm just like, wait, no, Straws in the Wind comes right after Automation, and just because like that's how I've been listening to it. And
Yeah.
and then like Some of Us I listen to a lot because Straws in the Wind goes right into it. And it was new Giz and I was bored as fuck, so I just wanted to listen to it all. And
at that point we didn't really like know for sure there was an album on the horizon yet. It was just, here's a new song, here's another new song. It's like,
I mean,
we'll listen to it.
you could deduce that there is an album on the way.
Yeah.
Everything's
Yes.
microtonal. It made sense. Like I was totally expecting a new album to come along, but I didn't expect to get this album. Like the album that we actually got. It, I mean, it's just crazy. They released so many singles from it, and then you still had no fucking clue what the album was going to be.
My only critique of the album is that they released so many singles, because you listen through and like the first half of the album we kind of already heard like with just the singles, and it was really only kind of the whole Ontology Intrasport kind of part, that little suite, that was completely fresh and brand new. And I think that was a shame, because for me it did kind of like taint it all a little bit. It was like I wish there was more that was fresh for me going into the album as a whole piece. But I love the album. I think it's amazing. It's one of my favorite albums by them, absolutely. But
yeah. I was thinking like it would be nice if they just stopped if they capped the singles at like 2 or 3. And I mean, I don't know. Maybe I just need to teach myself a little more self-restraint, which I mean,
it's hard when it comes to gears.
Yeah.
I think it was Infestor Rat's Nest. I think that did it perfectly because I think there was only 3 singles there, wasn't there? And then the album dropped right after Fishing for Fishies, and I think that was perfect.
And they did it, and especially with Rat's Nest, they did a good job of releasing like not the best songs, in my opinion, as the singles, because like I don't think it gets any better than like the Venusian 1, Perihelion, Venusian 2, and then like the whole B-side of that record is incredible.
They always piece together amazing B-sides. Like I feel like that's where they really own it, don't they?
Yep.
Like,
I there isn't a single album of theirs, I don't think, that like where okay, the only album where I prefer the A-side is Flying Microtronal Banana. Just because of Open Water, Melting Open Water and Sleep Drifter.
Absolutely.
Like Rattlesnake too, but I really live for the 3 songs after that.
So my just I'll Rattlesnake real quick. One of my like proudest moments. I just work at the most like grey, like dull office you can possibly imagine, just banking shit. And I work with like a lot of kind of older people in their like 60s, 70s, whatever. And I put Rattlesnake on and just was vibing to it, whatever. And then I go away, come back, nothing's been playing for like an hour. And I hear this guy who's like genuinely a pensioner. He's like 70s. He's retired now, but he's just like to himself, like, and I'm like, did I hear that? And he's like, oh yeah, that's that song you were playing. Very good, very good. And then I put it on again, and he's like, fuck yes, my friend, Rattlesnake.
You should have like given him a copy of the album when you retired or something,
Oh, I should have done.
Wouldn't that be an amazing? Well, or play it at his funeral.
He got rattled till he was
dead. Knock on wood, that's not for a while. But I hope he is able to enjoy a good enough amount of retirement before.
He's doing okay.
There we go.
But it also created a bit of a rift with like this guy came over just for like one day and was sat opposite me, and I was just vibing to stuff, whatever. And of course, complete opposite end of the spectrum. He's like, Brandon, what is this shit? I'm like, oh, okay. So fair enough if you don't like this one. I think Rattlesnake was on at the time. And he listened to the whole thing. And he was like, quote, it shouldn't be allowed. You can't just say Rattlesnake for 8 minutes. I'm like, well, yeah, okay. If you don't like this. And I span him some other stuff. I put Cyboogie, some Rat's Nest stuff, knowing he probably wouldn't like that. Some Nonagon, trying to show him some various stuff. He's like, oh, this band, they don't know what they're doing. The reason, like, they'd be better. The reason they play so many different genres is because they don't know how to play any of them. I'm like, oh, okay, my friend. And we just like sat and argued music. And I don't really like argue. I'm like pretty jokey, but it was that was like, okay then, so what's good music? And he was like, you wouldn't understand because I'm actually like cultured like you and I listen to all sorts. And he used his hands like up here to down here, I'm all over it. I was like, okay, so what do you vibe with?
Which band is up here? like which singer songwriter is that? Like,
well,
and who's down there? Is like what are we doing?
So he said like, yeah, I listen to the kind of the metal and rock stuff like Green Day and Fall Out Boy. I'm like, right, okay. And then he was like, but I'm also cultured because Brandon, would you go and see Celine Dion in concert? I was like, probably not. And he's like, oh, you just don't know what good music is. Lionel Richie, Celine Dion, the classics. I'm like, just because I'm not going to see Celine Dion in concert doesn't mean like, oh, I have no taste in music.
I mean, just because you're going to enjoy yourself a little less at the mall doesn't mean that you have like bad taste in music. However, if you are vibing with the mall soundtrack, you might want to, I don't know, consider your options.
Diversify a bit. Yeah.
There's this great thing called therapy.
Yeah, music therapy even. In fact, have you ever heard of King
Yeah.
Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard?
Well, there we go. I've got a story for you.
Oh my god. and then you go right into your pitch.
Yeah. So it's these 7 guys, they're traveling.
Oh my god. Yeah, that's absolutely fantastic. Well, I think we're gonna get to wrapping up, kind of soon here, but so we, KG just came out, and then they dropped like a week after they dropped, If Not Now Then When, and so we know presumably LW is going to be coming out next year sometime.
AT.
Yeah. Okay. Right. So maybe AT. And
Oh, yeah, I didn't think about that. Yeah.
This is actually something on a few episodes ago. I was just like, wait, what if they do AT? I don't think they're going to, but I don't know.
I don't think "And the" is a very good album title, but who knows?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, either way, it's like, I'm just really excited for it, but I don't know. Do you guys think there's any use in speculating over what's going to come out on a future Giz album? Like, kind of did ourselves in with KG.
Yeah, I mean, If Not Now Then When is like so left field in itself. Like, I mean, it's great. I loved it as well. I really was vibing hard with it, but it wasn't in any way what I was expecting. So yeah, who knows? Do you have a kind of like rough prediction for when you think it's gonna drop the new album?
I wouldn't be surprised if it comes out in like March.
Tomorrow.
Or what if they do fucking Gumboot 2.0 and they do December 31st? I mean, that would be absolutely wild.
I mean, I wasn't expecting them Christmas Day to drop like 9 albums for free.
Yeah.
Technically.
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna get a surprise like that. If we do, then fuck me. But yeah, I think I would expect it to come out in like March, maybe April.
Yeah.
I want to say February, but I already know, like, don't get your hopes up for anything too soon. They like to take their time sometimes.
I feel like maybe they'll drop another single mid January. Maybe, I think that's my prediction. Yeah, and see what happens then.
Yeah. What about you, Brandon?
I think that King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard at some point in the future will release some music. I can hold my hand on my heart and say that is a fact.
Yeah, I like that outlook. I think that's the most measured. But yeah, before I let you go, I gotta ask, Laurence, my mic cut out for a second. I see behind you, you got like a bunch of guitars and stuff. So I take it, yeah. So and like Brandon, you mentioned you played gigs and shit. Like, do you guys play in a band together, or you got your own stuff going on, or what's the deal?
We both do kind of like solo stuff, but we do collaborate a lot. We both kind of do weird folky acoustic stuff. We've done a lot of kind of like tours together. I'll like book up a bunch of shows, Brandon will book up a bunch of shows, and we'll kind of like be supporting each other and just going around the country playing shitty gigs in shitty bars together. But yeah, we've collaborated too. We've played on each other. I've just released actually this I don't know if it's okay to plug or not.
Yeah, totally.
Like weird, it's kind of like ambient, like dark ambient kind of album. It's completely different, but Brandon did a bunch of like piano on it, and he's really cool at kind of dropping weird haunting piano kind of stuff.
Yeah,
the secret is not knowing how to play piano.
It worked.
Yeah, send me a link to that, and I'll put it in the YouTube description for this episode. Yeah, I love supporting, doing everything I can to platform people and feel out the love. Yeah,
yeah.
Sure.
I've got like an album that's like imminently coming out. It'll be my 3rd one, and like my early kind of stuff was very like jokey, like just acoustic, shit like songs like themed around video games, but like romantic ones, or like just jokey shit like that. But as they've kind of gone on, it started like my last album was a bit more like yeah, I'm putting on my serious hat. Let's talk about some serious shit, but also like just take the piss. And then this third one, I've tried to get a bit more like, yeah, moving like less away from the angry, like chordy acoustic stuff and more just like finger picking and trying to tell stories more. So yeah, they were all the the first one's a Brandon ship. The second one's a Brandon Hope, and then the third one that will be coming out very soon is called a Brandon Reality. And Laurence does all the artwork for my albums and stuff. So.
That's fucking hilarious. Man,
they're on Spotify.
What? Yeah, I mean, what's left to a Brandon?
Yeah, I'm kind of putting myself into a corner here. Like,
once you've a Brandon Reality, what more is there left to a Brandon?
Puppies for me to adopt. I don't know.
Well, yeah. You were saying that you kind of play like gigs and like open mics as well. Do you release your own music as well?
Yeah, I actually released an EP beginning of, or like back in April. On my 30th birthday, I wrote 3 songs and just recorded them in like a couple weeks time and just edited everything on GarageBand on my iPhone.
Hell yeah.
So it's just hacked together.
DIY is the way.
I mean, it was really hard to do. It's hard to be precise when you're just relying on your touch screen, and you're like awesome. Editing things to like a very specific beat. But yeah, it overall it sounded good. I think it sounded good enough. But yeah, it's on my YouTube. Yeah, I wrote one of the songs 5 years ago, and then two of the other ones I wrote like when quarantine just started in March. So it was yeah. I'll send you guys a link to it in the
I'd love to check it out. Yeah, I'd love to check it out. It's really cool.
Yeah. I appreciate it, man. But yeah, like mostly when I play in front of people, like I'm just doing covers because like my main thing is stand-up comedy. So so like that's my that's what I try to focus on, and then the music stuff it's like it's secondary, so I do more covers and stuff, but most of it's giz.
You ever like that seems like a really good pairing, doing stand-up and music. Like you got the makings of like a musical comedy thing going on there.
I know the problem is that like so many people who try to do it just suck, and I don't want to be and I don't want to be that, but at the same time I know that like in order to fucking own it, I gotta try. So it has been something I've been giving a lot of thought to, specifically in the past week. Cool. But just I've been sort of right now I'm in a space where I'm trying to feel out how to make this or like how to make psychedelic music funny and how to make funny music sound really cool too. Right. So I don't know what that's going to turn into. If lo and behold, I'm just going to turn into a full-time musician, but I mean, I don't care what happens as long as I'm able to do whatever makes me happy.
Hell yeah, dude.
It sounds like a really cool project. It sounds really cool.
Hell yeah,
if me and Laurence are ever down your way, we'll check out your shows.
Yeah,
Red Rocks. We'll see.
Definitely stay in touch. Yeah, for sure. And guys, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I'm glad that we finally made this happen and that I checked the spam folder.
Hell yeah.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much. It's been a blast. And
for sure.
One last thing, because I fear he may not. I fear he may not mention it himself. Laurence also does he's got an art page, and he's like a fantastic graphic designer. And he's got some of his drawings at the back there. But yeah, so Loz Crow Illustrations, is that they can find you?
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah. Send me all your links, and I'll put them in. I'll post them up in the description so people can check your stuff out.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
That really means a lot. That's cool. Awesome.
Yeah, for sure, man. And guys, thanks for being on the podcast, and everybody listening, thanks for doing that. See ya.